Hello, I'm Amy Urani Leverton, and thank you for joining me for this special Women's History segment of Nevada County Now. We are here exploring the lives of women around our community who are themselves making history. I'd like to introduce you to my special guest, Julie Hardin. Now, Julie, welcome, Julie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And Julie, I'm just going to check my notes here. I want to give a really good history.
I'm really curious.
Julie grew up in Southern California. And there, when you were in Southern California, you were inspired by the arts. And that really grew your passion for the arts and symphony and ballet. And then in the 90s, you and your family and other business partners moved and you opened up a really fantastic restaurant.
It was fantastic.
Place here, right?
Yeah.
Called the Boozy Rouge. And there you met the love of your life, the pianist, Ken, and you married soon after that. And then in 97, while you're here, you became the marketing consultant for what was then known as the Twin Cities Concert Association. Now it's called In Concerts here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you've done so much work on nonprofits. You've done so much community involvement. And I think that, one of the things that's important as we highlight women and what they've done in their lives, this is a tribute to what you brought to Nevada County and the things that you've done since you've been here. So here's a couple of kind of questions that I'd love for you to expand upon. Tell us what motivates you.
I'm still trying to get over the introduction. Wow, thank
Really?
you. So what motivates me is connections with people, connecting people with people, and connecting people with meaningful experiences, which is what I found with what I do at In Concert Sierra. And it was funny when I had the restaurant. I remember talking to a friend and saying, gosh, I don't feel like this is meaningful. And he said, absolutely it is. You're giving people this wonderful experience, happy times. They're having wonderful food. We had singing food servers.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Tell us a little bit about that. How'd that idea come about?
Well, it was our ex-partner's idea.
Oh,
and her name is Barbara Hampton, and she was a force, and really it was her idea, I think, because of Max's Opera Cafe. It was really big.
Yep.
And so when we opened the Boozy Rouge, we had the singing servers, and surprised at how much talent there is here in this area.
Sure.
And we had lots of people eager to sing and serve at the same time.
That's
so
great.
It was really fun. And then, of course, we needed a pianist now and then. We had Ken Hardin, Ludi Heinrichs would come, just various different people. And Tony Loria was our artistic director. And so he's the one that introduced me to Ken. And so it was really fun.
Nice.
A lot of hard work, but
Sure.
really fun.
Sure.
And so so the conceit was the singing servers, and that got me into the whole entertainment area here. And of course,
progression.
Ken sort of pushed me into that as well.
Right.
Because he was working with Twin Cities Concert Association.
Sure.
And so he was working there, and I went to one of his concerts.
Oh.
And there were like 35, 40 people there. And I said, is anybody marketing this? And so they said, kind of. And so they offered me the job as their marketing consultant with a $500 stipend. They had gotten a grant from the Nevada County Arts Council at that time.
Great. So you had a ton of money to work with.
I had tons of money. I went wild. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. Our budget then was like $19,000 a year.
How wonderful.
And so we've grown a little bit since then.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's been fun.
Yeah, that's fabulous. So in that aspect and what inspired you as a youngster, getting into the arts and learning that, can you tell us, is there a woman in history whom you would look up to and kind of why?
So I loved the arts as a kid, but I also was very curious about politics. And so I was 1983, and I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
I had a crush on our Brazilian foreign exchange student.
Really?
His name was Carlos Bronzato.
You still remember his name?
I actually, just until a few years ago, I was in touch with him.
That's fabulous.
And my name would have been Juliana Bronzato.
Oh, wow.
So I'd really hoped to marry him.
Oh, okay.
If nothing for just the name. But a great name, huh?
It's fabulous. That's like a stage name.
I know. It would have been great. Yeah. So anyway, Carlos and I were hanging out, and we had a group of friends who were very into politics.
Nice.
And in our poli-sci class, we were learning about the United Nations.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so back then, the first U.S. ambassador to the United Nations was a woman. I should say the first woman was Jean Kirkpatrick. And I just thought that was amazing that there was this woman leading us with the United Nations. And I loved her speeches. She was, emboldened and exciting. So I decided with Carlos and our friends that let's start a Model United Nations.
I love that.
And so we actually went to other schools. We looked at Model United Nations and brought it back, and nobody was interested.
Interesting. What do you think that was?
Well, I think we were not good salespeople, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but it didn't go anywhere. So, and neither did the relationship with Carlos.
Sure.
I mean, we're friends. We became friends. I did travel to Brazil to try and be an 84. I wanted to
beautiful experience.
I wanted to be Mrs. Bronzato, but it didn't turn out.
I love it.
So it was really just the fact that there was this woman leader, who was dynamic, and so that was inspiring to me, and it really made me think that women can lead and do something like that.
Absolutely, and you know what I find interesting is when you look historically, the women that were inventors, right? The women that really developed things, and then we had an incredible judge, right, at our Supreme Court level.
Absolutely.
Dearest Ruth. And the things that, she really stood for. I think there's so many female role models. And I think what we end up doing is, as role models, such as yourself and all of us in the community that hold community positions, I think we have a tendency not to toot our own horn. And I think if you really get out there and you really express, especially to young ladies that are growing up and in school, you really give them an inspiration. Right. This is what I could do.
Right.
And I think that's holistically important.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
It made me think of another one that I really loved back then.
Please.
Do you remember Bella Abzug?
Yes.
With her hats. She was fantastic too. So just there are so many.
There really are.
Right. And they did toot their own horns. Yes. And you're right. I mean, I feel as if I'm more of a support person in my role.
Sure.
And I like that, actually. I like that a lot. I like being the supportive person.
Yep.
But I definitely do not toot my own horn a whole lot.
And I think, I would say, I think that's something that is missing. I wish that more, especially our political leaders and those that are in some ways not so much in politics, because there are underlying, factors, right, that kind of govern their direction. But I think those in fields of medicine, in fields of other areas, science, NASA, you name it. There's so many areas that we could really spread that message and tell, our young daughters, our young nieces, our young nephew, every one of them, you can be whatever you want to be.
Right.
Yeah. There's no limit.
We have so many role models with that.
We do. We do.
So.
Yep. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So transgressing to that, as we're talking about all of these incredible women that have done historical things, what does it mean to be a woman in today's world?
Well, I guess it depends on where you are, for sure, and how you grow up, and unfortunately also the color of your skin. So those I find very, it's a difficult question.
Yes.
And I would say the one thing that I think is universal is that women have more of a voice now than we had in the past. I think of my mom, who was a force of nature, and she was, really strongly opinionated and got her word out there. But she was afraid of that. You know, she was careful, very, very careful.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can remember her saying things to me like, you know, that I had to, before you go out, put your face on, you know, and,
of course.
yeah. And then there was just to basically be quiet, you know, when you're in certain, you know, if you're with your family,
right.
I had to be quiet, or, you know, I wasn't, but, yeah, so I think that we have more of a voice and more of a chance now, especially if we are allowed that chance to grow.
I agree. And I think that you bring up a really good point about, you know, how mothers encourage their daughters when there is a specific pattern, right, that you should follow. You are always supportive of your spouse. You are always in the backlight, right? You're not the boisterous one up front saying what you think or feel.
Right.
Very different. And I agree. My mother as well worked hard all her life, right? Was dedicated. And I do recall a couple of things that she always expressed, which was, you will get an education, right? You will continue and go on to college, and you will be self-sufficient, meaning regardless of who you marry or what's in your life, own a skill that should you be alone, you can support yourself and not have to worry. So,
which is great advice.
Yes.
Great advice. And yeah, there's some, I now like having all these things go through my head that, I recall being said, and that you either, at this point in life, you either let it go or you embrace it.
Right.
And that's hard as you're going through your life to know which channel you should turn on or off.
It's true. I mean, we are the face of the company we keep, right? Or who we're visiting with. We're different people per se.
Right.
But I really love the fact that when I asked you this question, you said it all depends on where you're from. Because obviously in the United States, it's far different from the women in Iran, say right now that we're seeing on the TV, right? Far different from someone, say, in the UK. Right. And how, you know, they are brought up with different propers, different techniques.
Right.
You're absolutely correct. And I myself, coming from a hybrid mixed background, right, from an East Indian background and a Canadian, it's interesting how much the East Indian influenced how I am today. And you know, my grandmother, being tiny, was highly outspoken. And one thing, and I feared her, trust me. She may have been short, but I would have never disrespected or disobeyed. But she always said, it is important to speak what's in your heart and in your mind. Always important. And it's always important to understand we're all the same, regardless of our skin color.
That's so true.
Regardless of anything. And coming from someone who had equivalent to a 5th grade education, because then she was married off and put into a life of essential servitude. She was very strong. Yeah. And I think that's the message we should relay, but I agree with you. Depending on where you are, you know, but there should be a network, regardless of where you are, that women can go to each other and stay strong.
We need to be very supportive of each other.
Always. Yeah. And race does play a big factor. I think it plays a huge factor today in our workforce and expanding our workforce.
Absolutely, it does. Yeah. And, you know, I see it with the classical music world.
Yes.
Because classical music is, you know, it's a Caucasian Western, you know, world.
It is,
and they have more and more, you know, ethnic groups breaking into it, which is lovely.
Yep.
But that's not its history.
No, it's definitely not. And think about it in how would these individuals, when you think about a different socioeconomic background, say we go downtown Chicago or something like that, how would children, young African-American women in school get exposed to that?
Right.
What would be the extracurricular pathway? Right. You're absolutely correct. But it's good to see people coming into it that have that diverse background, because now these young ladies can see, I can do that.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's just like being the first lady when President Obama was elected in. I think that gave a lot of young ladies hope. and showing
Absolutely.
what
And it
what
still
can I
does.
do.
She's pretty powerful.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, the way she
Yeah.
can just captivate an audience. I find that incredible. Okay, so tell us one thing that most people who know you do not know about you.
Let's see. Most people probably don't know, some people might, that with my ex-husband, we owned G&J baseball cards.
Interesting.
And I'm not a baseball person. And I don't know anything about baseball cards. And it was, he wanted to do it. We tried it. We failed within the first like 6 to 8 months. But it was an experience for sure.
Yes.
So that's one thing people don't know.
Interesting. Was it like a card shop?
It was a card shop within a T-shirt shop. It was a friend of ours who had a T-shirt shop.
Interesting.
And he allowed us to have, my mom bought us some cases for the baseball cards.
I love that.
And people would walk in and they would say, ask me about a baseball card or a baseball player.
And you're like, 1 second,
Excuse me.
please. Right? Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience. But it was fun. And, like I said, you just wanted to try it. So another thing might be that I think most people know, I love where we live. I love the trees.
Yeah.
But my heart is in the desert.
Isn't that interesting? And why is that?
I love that barren. I mean, I also love going up to, when we backpack, we go up to, 12,000 feet.
Of course.
And it's just beautiful rock and just, I don't know, everything is tiny and beautiful and quiet. And the desert and the high barren, basically desert up in the Sierra, it's just inspiring.
Interesting. Is it the quiet?
It's quiet. It's the just expanse. The incredible expanse. I love to climb mountains, get as high as I can, and see what's there. It's just being able to see as far as you can see. I love that.
Yeah.
And just the creatures that are in the desert.
Right.
Yeah.
Just communing with nature.
Yeah.
Do you ever get a sense when you're that high on the mountaintop how small and tiny you feel on the planet?
All the time.
Isn't that amazing? I feel that way when I'm facing the ocean. Right. And one of my favorite things to do is go to Bodega Bay. And I love to take my dog Max there because he loves it. But you just stand there and you look out on the horizon. It has to be akin to you standing on the top of an incredible plateau and looking down. And it's like, it's just so unreal.
It is completely unreal. When we actually hiked up to the top of Mount Whitney, which is, popular to do, but we actually spent the night there. I don't think you're supposed to. But we spent the night on top of the mountain, and in the morning.
That's great.
We got up and there was nobody there.
Wow.
And I just walked 360 and it was just
sunrise.
Oh my gosh. It was such an experience. And I just love that being out there in nature and alone and quiet and it's just beautiful.
It is, and I think it's humbling, right? In a way, you really forget when you're in your day to day. To not take in what is beautiful. I try to always tell my staff, my team, to be cognizant of the moment. It's precious.
It's so important.
It really is. It can change in a heartbeat.
I had an experience with music that way. That this was back in, I'm guessing 2010 maybe, and we didn't have a ticketing system. So I was I was in the balcony at the venue, and I was counting heads.
Wow!
And there was this amazing violinist, Roberto Conti, was playing the Bach Chaconne solo piece.
Beautiful.
And so I was doing this head count, and I have a piece of paper here, and all of a sudden I look down, and there is a wet spot right here.
Oh.
And I realize it's me. And so I paid attention.
Yep.
And you could hear the sound just swirling up in the sky, the ceiling. And it was just awe-inspiring, and it was visceral. It was, inside.
Absolutely.
And that's the same thing you get to feel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
As you get to feel that just visceral
connection
and molecules moving and everything. It just,
it's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah. You just want to express that with everyone, and sometimes they look at you like, okay, I don't get it, but you just want people to understand, connect that way. You'll get it.
Right.
Just a beautiful
feel
thing.
The wind blowing at you,
Exactly.
and the trees moving and all of that. It's the same thing.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's just been wonderful.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's been fantastic. And I really appreciate you sharing all of your stories and experiences
thank you,
with
and
us
vice
today.
versa.
Thank you. And thank you for watching this special Women's History segment of Nevada County Now. Make sure you check out our other interviews. Our community is full of amazing women.